Hey, there you guys are. Holy crap. Talk about technical difficulties. Everything just froze on me and I could not do any damn thing. Anything. So here we are, another live from OG Star Wars. Hello, my name is Alora Baga and I am your host today on my channel, of course, OG Star Wars. What a weird introduction. But like everything froze. I was like stuck in limbo here for a while. I don't know if you guys seen the whole intro or if there was like everything went quiet or I don't know. So you guys, now I yesterday was the day I did the breaking news about what Jake Lloyd's mom Lisa, and there we go. Oh my god, talk about internet issues going on here today. But we are here nonetheless. Okay. So I wanted to have a follow up. Darth Toby. Yes, Darth Toby is in the window. Maybe he's the one that's causing the problems. I don't know. But I wanted to have a follow up because it seems wants to keep a toxic and use it to gaslight fans. And that's been a huge concern of myself and many others is using that type of narrative and also coming in with the truth on what had happened, what's going on. And when Lisa Lloyd came out with the information about her son and what had really happened and how she protected him from it because of his age from the media. It was mainly media. We know it was mainly media. And hello, Darth Toby. And how it didn't really affect him at all because she protected him, and which a mom should rightfully do. And I commend her for this. But before we get going, hey, Melissa Lord, I'll get into the chat and say hello to everybody. They're popping in. Before we get going, please smash that like button and also share that we're live here. And also, support, leave a super chat, become a channel member, all of that. I'm still kind of scuffled from the technical difficulties, but I am here. Let's get into this. So it bothers the hell out of me to think that people want to keep on using this type of narrative so they can keep on using it against fans to make fans feel like they were responsible or that it was 100% fans that made these actors and actresses feel the way they did or what have you. And the more and more they speak, like as of lately, or someone comes out, the less it is about the fans and more about Hollywood and the media access. Now, are there such thing as toxic fans? Yes, there is. There are toxic fans. And I'm still in my gym clothes. My hair is all wavy because it was wet and I had my hair braided up when I was working out. So, but I'm still in my gym clothes, beast mode here. And in no way am I saying, or anybody else that I'm communicating with, that there was no such thing as these toxic people. I don't call them toxic fans. To me, people who start acting out, harassing, I just love the internet, against these people, these actors and actresses and stuff like that, are not fans anymore to me in my eyes. Because fans, yes, we love something. We could still talk about and criticize what we don't like, and that's fine. And I think these people can't distinguish between criticism, like not liking George's decision on casting a 9-year-old rather than a teen. That's not toxic. That's just an opinion, right? Versus straight out harassment, which could be of talking about someone's demeanor, their ethnicity, race, or whatever. So there's a huge difference between that. So we could start nitpicking through the weeds and saying what is toxic and what is not. And that's not the point here. But I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a letter first before we get into this, because I've had a few people come at me on Twitter, which is perfectly normal because that shit happens there if you're living in it, or not, I wouldn't say living, but if you're existing as a YouTuber or anybody in the cesspool of Twitter, right? You are going to have that. You're going to have people debating each other. I debate others. I like when I get into a conversation where I'm like, okay, this is not correct. I'm going to share what is correct. Of course there's going to be pushback, and I get a lot like, oh, she's a know-it-all, or she's this and she's that, and blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah, because I sit down and I do my research. So, if that makes you feel insecure, that's your problem and not mine. But let me see who's in the chat, and then I'll show you the letter that I'm talking about. Let's see here. Of course, Soul Assassin's here. Smash the like button, share the stream out. And Star Wars Scran, howdy. Yes, Darth Toby came and he seen and he left. He's gone. Hopefully he doesn't come back and start raising hell. It's due for him to start raising hell again. He has his little flow of coming in and out of my streams and really creating a ruckus, but I think that's more like half chat. That's his thing. And talk of him and he shall come. All right. And then Melissa Lloyd, hello. Another channel member here. Tyranazilla, hello there. How are you doing? And here Soul Assassin says, and here I was going to give you a massive nerd point for having a Beast Wars shirt. Well, thank you. No, it's Beast Mode, but hey, Beast Wars, there we go. I need one. Jake was a better child actor than many current child actors today, in my honest opinion. And there you go. And I think most of the things that I've seen against him when it came to people critiquing and criticizing, I guess you could say, was George picking a 9-year-old, and then for some of the silly quirks and whatever, like yippee he said, which matches the age. So just things like that, which is not harassment, it's just criticizing. So like I said, we can go through a lot of things and nitpick and go through and say and put in this category, in that category, what's harassment, what's not, but this is not the gist of the stream here. Okay. Discord is greater than Twitter. And of course, greetings, Lady Sith. Hey, how you doing, DVS Lord? And then Matt G is in the house. Hello to you. And of course, with the coffee, I do have some Starbucks. I don't like my appearance today, so I took myself off the camera, even though I look presentable. That's just me. But I do have some, I'll say it, Starbucks, because I did get that on my way after teaching or doing my gym time. Today was upper back and shoulders day, then cardio, and then teaching yoga. So that's my Tuesday mornings. Tyranazilla says, I managed to finally break Dark Force or beat Dark Forces even on easy. The game kicked my ass. Wow, that's pretty cool. I hear that it's a really fun game. I do have it. I just have to start it. Thank you for those who gave me games, and that would be Stig and I think Melissa Lord too. Thank you. Let's see here. Also, I finally finished Darth Bane Book 1. The Death of the Brotherhood and Githany was magnificent. Exactly. And this is going to be, the birth of the Rule of Two. The birth of Rule of Two, which was a very awesome concept. I praise George and all those who are involved in creating the Sith lore with this Rule of Two. Let's see here. Soul Assassin says, Starbucks is so wizard like. Hello, OG Star Wars Valley Girl. And DBS Lord becomes a channel member. Thank you so much for your support. Let's see here. All right, so let's go ahead. People are popping in. Let them know we're live. Always leave your comments below as always. And I am going to expose a certain individual, which I basically just left alone for a while, and he just seems to have something out for me. But I'm going to go ahead and cover some things that he decided to tweet a long tweet about me. So we're going to read that essay and debunk some of the shit in there. And that should be fun. But let me go ahead and pull up something here that letter that I wanted to show you regarding, let me see, which one is it? Yeah, okay. I have I don't have many tabs up, but I do have some tabs. I just got to make sure I put up the right one. Yes, here we go. All right, so here is this right here. Let me go ahead and make it bigger. That's what she said. All right. Let's go ahead and read this. So this is regarding Jake Lloyd, and this is back in January 14th of 1999. So this was basically before The Phantom Menace came out. So imagine this. This is from Ron Howard in defense of Jake Lloyd. But this is to media. And of course, I have always stated that media has led this media driven hate towards George and everything he's been doing. And then they slap in all these actors and actresses and George's, writing and all this to create this big, huge narrative that these Disney shills are now copying and using, and they are protecting they're protecting this toxic fan narrative because that's all they fucking have. So again, this is from Ron Howard, January 14th, 1999. So how many of you guys, how old were you guys in 1999? I revealed my age to you during that time. I was 21 years old. I had just had my second child right before January 14th. So that kind of gives you an idea where I was during that time. So this is from Ron Howard to Nancy Cooper. Dear Miss Cooper, while your Buzz Wars episode 1 piece was generally snide and insipid, the pot shot at 9-year-old Jake Lloyd was downright irresponsible. The piece cites unnamed insiders who are critical of this 9-year-old's performance. I have no way of knowing how accomplished or professional he may have appeared during the principal filming, but I seriously doubt those insiders are inside enough to have seen an edit version of the new Star Wars. Because I have, and in my opinion, Jake Lloyd is terrific in the film, which, by the way, is truly amazing. Movie subject to public scrutiny, yes. But for Newsweek to attack a child's performance based on rumor and without even have seen the movie is shameful. So do you see where this narrative is coming? Because this narrative came from the media first. And sheeple will come in and then agree and repeat what the media is saying. This is a stage reaction. As someone who was acting professionally at an early age, I can assure you that 9-year-old Jake is quite capable of reading, understanding, and feeling the full humiliation of a piece like that. He may not be able to comprehend the reason that it was printed. However, but then obviously neither can I. Maybe someone from your editorial staff could try and explain it to him. Sincerely, Ron Howard. So there you go. So this is a bit of evidence that this was media driven from the start, because how in the hell would fans come up with this conclusion without the media influence them, especially when the internet was in its infant stages and it wasn't quite polarizing as it is now. So with this article, we're going to get into this narrative. And, Lisa, Jake's mom, basically said she's tired of this narrative being repeated all the fucking time. We're not doing it. We're the one who's saying from the start that Jake has confirmed it was his peers from school and even the media, but mostly peers and stuff. And then the mom comes in, confirms that, and also states that she never allowed him to have the internet, that she didn't want to see this backlash, what the media and everybody else is saying, which again, I commend her. At that point in 1999, when social media was in its infancy, no kids should have been on the internet, not even today. But because technology is a way of communicating now, and it's like this big, huge conglomerate of communication, whether it's social media, whether it's texting on the phone, and it's quick, easy, simple. we all, as parents, had let our guards down. Now, for myself, my kids didn't have a phone really until they were 14 or older. Their social media access was basically towards their adulthood, because of the fact that I know that bullying can happen, shit can happen. Um, it's social media in itself is toxic, and you have to have the tough thick skin for it, right? You certainly do have to. And then with how media is basically polarizing, everyone when it comes to politics and stuff like that, it's almost like it's a brainwash tool, I guess you can say. And the evidence is from the beginning here, from what I pointed to you guys out in this letter here. Media was brainwashing even back then with this letter. So let me go ahead and see what you guys have to say. And then we'll move on to the next. Oh, you guys are putting your age down. I see that. I don't have that clip. I'm sorry. I don't have that clip. Revisionist history. That's the thing I get slapped at me all the time. Even with the E. Oh, you're just committing revisionist history. I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, for fuck's sake. You just don't want to believe the proof that I shared with you. So for you, it's revisionist history because it breaks all the narrative and all the bullshit that you have in your head. Let's see. Melissa said she was 19, so I was just a little older than you, but not by much. I was 9 in May 1999 and turned 10 a month later. Ah, there you go. And you was just a little lad. A little lad, and 6-year-old little lad there too. Man, I can't believe that. People don't believe my age. They honestly don't. And, I think maybe it's genetics. I'm, Native American, Asian, a little bit of French and Spanish all mixed in there. Let's see here. Star Wars, Marvel Pierce says, us old enough to remember it was the media and the Hollywood elite is correct. But those who are saying, no, it wasn't, it was toxic fans who are screaming toxic fan narratives weren't coherent enough. Like their little tiny brains, either they weren't born yet, maybe they're infants, or the little tiny brains weren't mature enough to comprehend what was going on. So let's see here. 27, Degeneration X. All right, let's see here. And Star Wars Marvel Pierce says, I was almost 19, Melissa. And yep. Let's see here. You guys are about the same age. Awesome. Yeah, it's good to have that. I remembered this a while back, but then I never kept it within my arsenal. And then since then, just forgot about it and got a hold of it again. And I think it's very important right now during this time because, like I said, this narrative of toxic fans, they hurt everyone and everything kind of deal. When yes, there are such things as toxic people. There's always going to be someone that's going to bitch and complain and harass because it doesn't meet what they expect and what have you, and they're going to sit down and throw a fit. Of course, you're going to have that. There's always going to be that. But to polarize and to really hyper, say with hyper, like presenting a hyperbole of it was all fans. They're all toxic, or you're toxic because you're the one who bullied so and so, without even knowing your history. That's their narrative. They want to use it against you, even though you had nothing to do or you didn't say anything about the situation that was negative. That's what they're doing. They want to hold on to that narrative. And so that's why they're defending it, even in the light of what Miss Lloyd said. So let's go on. I'm like literally the last of the Gen X guard. Oh goodness. Gen Xers and Devious Lord. Yes, sheeple. I agree. Richie Cunningham admits it was the media in this letter. Exactly. Jake did the role well. Child actors can have mixed results, some good, some bad. In the middle, Jake was fine, in my honest opinion. And he was chosen out of 300 auditioners. Just imagine that. He had something that George seen. And George was very keen with picking these personalities for these characters. Because just imagine who Leia could have been, who Han Solo could have been, and even Luke. Just imagine. Just imagine. I don't think you can, but with all those who auditioned for those roles, and these individuals helped create these iconic characters, even though we may not agree with their politics, that's fine. We can, still honor for what the character, how the character was brought out and how the character was acted and stuff like that. You can separate, try to at least separate the actor from their politics and the actor from the character in situations, so that's the most soundest thing you can ever do. Mr. Dystopian says, I still remember the dial-up sound. Oh, me too. And then wait for it sometimes for a long time. It seemed like ages, right? During the dial-up age. Holy crap. I think I remember I've never had internet until I got a lot older towards my adulthood time. The only time I really got on the internet was for school, for certain research in the library or whatever, or at one of my friend's house where her family allowed us to go on internet, but only to play games. And then later, as I had more and more access, then I started, using AOL, going into native chat, going into Star Wars chat, all of that. Poet didn't know it. Yes, I agree. He did a great job. Did a great job. And what's so funny is that before, this breaking news came out with Lisa Lloyd regarding her son and his schizophrenia and, cutting the record straight about Star Wars. I've even mentioned to some of these people on Twitter that, a lot of things that were going on with Jake Lloyd was, mental illness. And they tried to deny that and still say, no, it's just you toxic fans. And now that she's come straight, now they're still they're moving that goalpost over some more. And it's quite hilarious because they're holding on to every single bit of narrative. And what I'm trying to do here is just show facts. You don't have the right now to say that it was, everything that happened to Jake Lloyd was due to toxic fans, because no, it never happened. Yes, he admitted with his mom as well that it was school peer and media and stuff like that. But now it confirms that she kept him away from this. So everything that occurred to him that we see has nothing to do with Star Wars, like hating stars for himself and hating fans or what the fans did, because he did not get any of it. And then later in life, when he's seen it, he just blew it off because he was mature. And it's quite interesting to see a person who has mental illness blow it off. And yet people who are supposed to be sane in their minds are over there like, wait, the fans, toxic fans, blah, 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 trying to, I don't know if they're trying to white knight for him, even though they don't want it. And even Lisa said that she's tired of people coming back with this and bringing it up, that it needs to be dropped, basically. If you read the article, and I forgot to put it in my description of yesterday's video, but I'll go ahead and do that. Let me see here. Could I have thought Jake did a little better? Sure, but it's no excuse for all the crap he received. He didn't deserve the backlash. So like I said, like the backlash, basically, there's a lot more critique than anything else. Criticism, I guess you could say, but harassment, I wouldn't say. But then again, if a person was bullied online, I think the victim has to be there to receive the bullying to be officially bullied, right? Or harassed. They have to be present. The victim, the perpetrator and the victim have to be together for the act to actually happen. So, and then someone tried to compare to me yesterday, with what Jake Lloyd went through with, like, oh, well, people like attempted murder of someone shooting a gun at someone and they missing. Oh, well, if the person who's shooting the gun missed them, they still affect them. So they try to compare this to attempted murder, which I thought was really ridiculous. Let's see here. The internet is a vile place. And yes, please smash the like button. And Matthew says he was great in Jingle All the Way and Phantom Menace. Correct. Jingle All the Way is fun. I haven't watched it in a long time. Opie. Yes, Opie. Okay, let's see here. No, they're the revisionists, not us. Oh, I know that. Let's see here. Brunch of younglings in 99. Or it's a brunch. Bunch of younglings in 99. Think I'm hungry. The Chuck Jose channel is here. Hello. How are you doing? I was born in 2000. Ah, so you was just a little tiny itty bitty baby after The Phantom Menace came out. Okay. I was 28 in 1999. Okay. Dino reviews. Thank you for coming. Look at, we have people dropping in. We were up to 22, now 20. So we have people dropping in and out. Soul Assassin says native genes don't crack, OG, kind of like Latins who age slowly. Yes, we are awesome people. Stezo says, I was lazy eye Jacob's age. Now we're Phantom Menace. When the Phantom Menace came out. And that's the thing, is that he's going off of the narrative. I'm going to pull up what he has. He basically tweeted out on Twitter. He basically was trying to do, I guess you could say, attack. I don't know what that would be, but say something about me, about how I share resources and stuff like that, which I don't know how to read, all this bullshit. Then he took it down and then wrote a big, huge novel about me or about everything. I don't know if it's just strictly about me, but about everything in the PT era. Let's see here. Took my son at the time 4 years to see the Phantom Menace at midnight. Same age my dad took me in 1977. Ah, there you go. Keeping it a family tradition. Let's see here. Kurt Russell almost played solo. That's what I heard too. I have to go and I should do this for CAF Chat. All the interesting what ifs, or not what ifs, all the interesting people who auditioned for these, pivotal roles. I remember Dial Up and the Budweiser Frogs wallpaper. Budweiser. Yeah, that that was something else too. Something else. Okay, the chat, where is everything at? Okay. Oh, here we go. Man, you guys are jamming in the chat. Let's see here. Star Wars Grand says it's crazy that prequels were only completed for about 7 years, roughly, before the sale. That's true. That is true. Us Gen Xers remember when all the rappers praised and wanted to be like Donald J. Trump. Hundreds, maybe thousands of sounds enter clown world. Trump's a racist. Laugh man. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I don't know what to think about anything anymore. But I'm not going to get into the politics of things right now. We're going to talk about the politics of Star Wars. That's what we're talking about. Devious Lord says people were given the Phantom Menace, the Return of the Jedi treatment. Yes, you Ewoks, but you got Jabba, the Emperor. I don't know. It's fucking crazy. Shalom, hello to Helim, and good to see you all. I remember when Jake wanted to appear in the second episode of Star Wars. Yeah, but he was already grown. George is like, let's just jump 10 years later. And I think it was smart enough for him to do that. People were like, hey, you should have made Jake a teenager, but I don't think it would have quite went well with what George was looking at, of bringing this innocent kid in that had a heart of gold to show a quick turn. Not a quick turn. It wasn't a quick turn because there's 10 years until we see him last in the movies, but, we got to see him through the EU before the movies anyways, before the second installment of the prequel trilogy. So yeah, so I get George I get George's idea. I get George's idea about having a 9-year-old and then 10 years later seeing him and seeing that and then giving us information in between on what's going on. Mind you don't have to read the EU to know what's going on. It just gives more information. That's all. That's all. If you want to. It's a choice. You have casual fans that love the movies only and maybe some games. And then you have like the EU elitists like me who just get into all of it, even including behind the scenes and George's life and his building of his company, all of that. Devious Lord says, and Vader's redemption. All right, let's go. I'm like reading through everybody's, but let's get into that article. Let me go ahead, or not that article, because it's not a fucking article. Okay, let's see here. And listen to me and my potty mouth. Okay. Let's see here. Let me go back. All right. So, are you guys ready for this? It is funny here because this guy, me and him had a runabout a while back, a long while back, and he blocked me. Same standard, same thing, whatever. But he blocked me. Fine. It's fine. It's cool. Block me. Whatever. And I'm minding my business, but I'm just going ahead and just, sharing the latest news about Lloyd, Jake Lloyd here. And then all of a sudden I get this little bit about me. And he is probably upset because maybe I broke his narrative. And so he has to counter me. And then, of course, that was brought to my attention. So I countered that. He then, since then, probably got a lot more slack than what he wanted to get. Not a lot, but a lot more heat than what he wanted to get. And deleted and decided to write this whole huge article and attach a screenshot of my tweet to him. So there we go. So this is what it says. I'm getting incredibly more frustrated, confused, and heartbroken. Oh my, this right here. It's like it was really him, right? By people on this app trying to act like toxicity wasn't within a fandom didn't when Prequel was originally released. Well, from what I know, you were just an itty bitty baby, like toddler, or not even a preschooler or probably a preschooler when the Phantom Menace came out, or even the prequels came out. Very young. So I don't think your little tiny pea brain would have discerned what was going on during that time compared to a 21-year-old of that time. But let's go on. And it's kind of funny that he's like, oh, on this app, I'm heartbroken and confused. Okay, so this app is not really real life, And what is their favorite word they say all the time to us? Why don't you go outside and touch grass? Maybe this is one of these moments that, people like you need to share, like go with your own advice. I don't know. But let's go on. Yes, there was obviously negativity within the media about these movies, and I just proved it that it was the aim and target of the media from the beginning with the letter I shared. I've seen it, I witnessed it. Now I sound like one of them that are like trying to counter me. I was this age at this time, kind of deal. But seriously, this from what Ahmad and even Ewan and George, it's media-driven bullshit. And there are sheeple that will follow media and do their biddings. And you are the example of that. But let's go on. And sure, they also had their fans who were supportive and contribute to the great memories, of course. And that was more so than what people think. Especially people your age, you are now stuck in this narrative because you're trying to use this toxic fan narratives as counter towards people maybe like me who don't really care for the direction Disney has taken Star Wars, but hey, to each their own. But to say that negative comments and outright hateful comments weren't made by people online, and no one is saying that people online never said bullshit online. In fact, we're witnessing it today. But you were just a baby during the time when the internet was an infant itself. So how do you know? Because I doubt that your little pea brain was old enough to comprehend the words that were being typed out in some of these, forums. And there wasn't necessarily like social media like we are on today, Twitter. So again, you are repeating a narrative. You didn't live through this at all. And then, so he goes on to say that subsequently affected the cast, crew, and even George Lucas himself is insanely arrogant and ignorant. And again, if you did your research, you would know George basically talks more about the media, and the history of George is that Hollywood and its media always attacked him because he was the person who went off on his own. He made his own box and created his own company, put everything in it because he didn't want Hollywood influence or control. The media, paid by Hollywood, really went at George for since the birth of Star Wars. It was an ongoing thing. It never would just came when the prequel trilogy came out. It never just all of a sudden, boom, it's there when the prequels came out. It was they were hounding George since the inception of Star Wars, before it came A New Hope. This is all learned if you sit down and open up some fucking books, right? Like The Cinema of George Lucas. And then he goes on to say, it's not just media backlash. So he goes, quote unquote, media backlash. The bullies and peers of for someone like Jake Lloyd aren't affiliated with media. They are drawn. You don't have to be like working for media to be influenced by fucking media. And it's even like known today that people are following media narratives with politics and all of that because people are easily influenced. They were people who didn't like a movie. Okay, so see, you don't like a movie, you're not a fan of it, so they're not fucking fans. That knew one of the actors personally. Okay, they were people who didn't like the movie that knew one of the actors personally. So I don't get what he's saying. It's not that the media, it's not just media backlash. The bullies and peers for someone like Jake Lloyd aren't affiliated with the movies. They were people who didn't like a movie that knew one of the actors personally. So I don't know what he's trying to say here. Like he's saying that he's getting his source from someone who knew, or he's saying that these toxic fans knew that like the actors personally. I don't get what he's saying right here, but let me see what you guys are saying. Let's see here. Ah ha ha. So we have 10 people in here. So 10 people dropped off. I guess they don't want to hear this, but that's okay. Your loss. Jacob is part of Team Gaslighters. Jacob is a liar. He doesn't even remember 1999. Pea brain. I remember reading that. Thank you. He actually is a gaslighter. Wokepedia warrior assemble. Let's go on in Dino's review. Hello, Dino. The opening line of The Force Awakens is "This will begin to make things right." Was a diss to George Lucas. There you go. I mean, if you want to really put it that way, yes, it was. It was greatest franchise that wasn't Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, or James Bond. Disney has killed the golden goose. Correct. They not only smashed the golden egg, they killed the golden goose. Force Awakens was a remake of Requel, a $300 million fan film with an agenda made by non-fans. Jacob has to be one on the Disney payroll. I don't know what's going on with this dude. And, mind you, I have no idea. So let's go ahead and see what else he has to say. Because I've only briefly some of. So he gets into Ahmad Best. And mind you, I watched the podcast that he's mentioning where Ahmad said that, his number was leaked out. But guess what? The media leaked that out. Again, driven. So Ahmad Best had his phone number leaked, not by the media. Yes, he did, but toxic fans. The toxic fans got it by media. He even had to deal with websites hating on Jar Jar specifically. And again, this goes into what I was talking about yesterday, that the actor needs to, separate themselves from their character. And Ahmad Best admitted that he couldn't separate himself, and that's what made him suffer. But you know what? You want to know what his conclusion was to everything that led him to almost jumping off that ledge there of that bridge? His conclusion was from the media backlash. Nowhere does he say toxic fans, the fandom are fans. He specifically states in his conclusion to what drove him to the ledges to commit suicide was media-driven bullshit. And so he is blatantly ignoring that information because he wants to keep this toxic fan narrative going to use against people. That's all. And mind you, I'm not saying that people aren't toxic. No way am I saying this, but they will go ahead and say, "Oh, well, you're saying that toxic fans never existed, blah 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 blah." Well, I'm saying toxic people do exist. That's human nature, but am I calling them fans? No, I'm not. Then he goes on to about Hayden. Hayden Christensen was faced with brutal attacks from fans after his portrayal of Anakin Skywalker. So I don't remember any brutal attacks. Do you guys remember, like those in my age or those old enough to remember, where are those fucking brutal attacks? And then he goes with entitled fans believing that he destroyed something they had held dear to their hearts and cyberbully Christian in return. Again, not the media. So, again, where was the brutal attacks he faced? That's what I want to know. Let me see what you guys are saying. Jedi mind tricks don't work on Melissa Lloyd. Oh, I don't know what that was about. I just clicked on it. Let me see. You can't gaslight me, Jacob. Your Jedi mind tricks won't work on me. Boy, laugh out loud. And yep. And then that's goes on to that. Let's see here. Ahmad was the best Jar Jar Binks, and his character did grow in the prequels, erasing the David Filoni verse. And let's see here. Sometimes I wonder if the People versus Lucasfilm was purposely made to add weight to the fan hate narrative. I really do think so, because a person who did this was a person working under the film industry. So just imagine that. So, Hollywood and media, they're hand in hand, right? Because Hollywood controls media so they can get their information out. People can watch it. They can get their reviews out. People can watch it, that kind of thing. And so the person who made this was not only a person who was doing films of his own and influenced by the film industry. He was influenced by media. He was supporting media conglomerates as well. And then, of course, Red Letter Media. And then other people too. So let's see here. Simon Pegg hated the prequels and made his own character in space, and a character who hated Jar Jar Binks. Disney gave him a role in The Force Awakens. Yeah. And let's see, the facts that a theory of Jar Jar Binks was a secret Sith gave more popularity to the character. Yeah, everybody was like, "Oh, he's the Sith." And the way he was like even portrayed in the book, Revenge of the Sith novelization, where he's standing alongside or near, or I forgot where they said he was standing. When Palpatine was basically saying the Jedi are the enemies and declaring the Republic now an empire. His great speech, which is magnificent to listen to on, YouTube, on Audible. I would listen to that amazing speech to listen to, because you get a lot more into what Palpatine's saying. So there's a lot more you get to hear on how he really, really, really gets into the heads of the Senate to take over as an emperor. So yeah, I highly recommend that. Let's see here. Jar Jar is actually funny in quite a lot of scenes. Changed my mind. I did not have a problem with him. I never did at my age. I could see some people who can be annoyed by him if they don't like, characters like that. That's fine. But that's not like, not liking a character is not equal to harassment, basically. Soul Sands says, might have to get Tim and Blake to watch the People versus Lucas film OG. Y'all can tear it apart. Tim was recommended that, and he's like, fuck no, I don't want to watch that. But that would be interesting to do. But honestly, why give that thing attention? I've already seen it. It's bullshit in its own self, but who knows? Okay, let's go on. Okay, breathe. Let's get into what he says about George. George Lucas himself got a ton of criticism for the prequels. Yes, like I said, he's gotten tons of criticism since the inception of Star Wars. but a lot of it was toxic fans. Again, he goes back to the see, do you guys see what's going on here? It's this toxic fan narrative. They excuse what the media had set up to use the toxic fan narrative. Reviews were made online and treated like gospel, and documentaries like 2010's The People versus George Lucas show this in full force. So basically, that was a hit piece, again, driven by people who were jealous by George, the filmmaker himself, that was also fitting the media narrative. So if you can't put two and two together, I don't think your fucking brain has matured much whatsoever, really, because it's all there. You have to follow the paper trail. People seem to not follow the paper trail when they go and put on something like this because it's easier to spew out than to do the fucking research. And that's how I see it. It takes time. Like when I'm presented something, a counter where I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm not sure about that." I'm going to go pull my resources. I'm going to look things online. I'm going to find the very first article that might pertain to, and I'm going to share it. More than likely, my instincts are right about something, and they fucking hate it. They do. Um, but hey, but when I'm wrong, I'm like, okay, well, then, so let's talk about this, or let's go into this conclusion, or what else are you presenting to me that I need to look up? Whatever. So George has even shared in an image of him making the Phantom Menace, of him wearing a shirt regarding what social media was saying about his earlier trilogy. So again, that proves that, media and Hollywood are hand in hand. We're very much against George and have been criticizing him from the beginning. And there are sheeple. Yes, they are sheeple. I don't call them fans. That followed suit. But the majority of this was media driven, as I shared. There's a reason why he hasn't directed a movie. Oh, here we fucking go. So he's going to blame the toxic fans for this. Here we go. So, okay, let's go back again. There's a reason why he hasn't, he means George, directed a movie since 2005, even as going as far as to say, why would I make a movie when everybody yells at you all the time and says what a terrible person you are? So he thinks that George, even though George was deciding to make Underworld, and even though George was also deciding to continue to, expand on TCW, and first wanted to bring Tartakovsky, and that fell through. So he hired, or he didn't really hire her, but his company hired Filoni. So if George didn't want to do anything or produce anything, I think he would have just gave up and had someone else do everything, right? I mean, honestly, if he didn't want people yelling at him no more, then why would he continue to think about making newer projects? Why would he think about continuing making games, continuing with the EU, making more Clone Wars content, like visual, show content, or even thinking about the Underworld, a live action show? Tell me that. Again, you have to do your fucking research. You are so fucking narrow-minded that you don't even realize this, that you're following this narrative so that you can hold on to this toxic fan narrative to gaslight everybody. And he says, I don't care how you feel about the new canon compared to the expanded universe. That isn't about that. Well, then why are you bringing it up? And ultimately, it doesn't matter at all. Okay, so why are you bringing that up if it doesn't matter? We don't even have to talk about that. Let me see what you guys are saying. Let me see here. I think Lucas's last known film was Red Tails, as tribute to the stock film he used for New Hope. Yes, Red Tails was basically made after after Revenge of the Sith. So again, this breaks this guy's narrative about George not making any more films after 2005. Seriously, all you got to do is do your fucking research, right? But again, he says, like his tweet that he took down about me was like, oh, well, she shares this and shares sources, but there's no validity to them. Are you fucking kidding me? That just proves that you don't want to research anything. Let's see here. I know you guys are hopping away here with your comments. I'm not a Nickelback or I'm not saying Nickelback are good. They just aren't the worst band ever. I don't know what you guys are talking about here. Oh yeah, the Directors Guild. Yes, the directors and other guilds tried to go after him when he released Empire. Yes, and they even put a fine against him for using the scroll. Yeah, he got fined. They tolerated it for Star Wars, now called A New Hope. But once he used it again for Empire Strikes Back, he got fined for it. So, like I said, do the paper trail. It's all there. All fucking there. All of this was media driven from the past into the future. People who watch the media and rely on media for, movie reveals, reviews and stuff like that will go with the narrative instead of making their own fucking opinion. Let's see here. JJ wanted a scene of Jar Jar's skull in the desert. Oh, I think I remember hearing about that. And JJ hates the prequels too, so there you go. Matthew says, the worst thing I've seen in the documentary on George being racist, a bunch of yes men. Yeah, that's another thing. But we're not going to get into all that. Looks like Rhino's going to have a Seal of the Week award already for Jacob this week. I think he's going to get spaced again. How the fuck do you get spaced twice? I think he got spaced before, at least in the spacing. How you remind me of Scrum. Let's see. Yes, the people versus George Lucas was an establishment piece because they would rather have government and the media puppets and trusted sources. Let's see here. Let's see. You guys are just going on. George Lucas is in the house. Hello there, George. Long time no see. Glad you're hopping in. Star Wars Grand says Jacob doesn't do this research or his research. He proves this this time after time. That's what he does. That's what he does. All right, let's go on here. So he goes on to say, this is not about the EU, blah, 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 or hating the Disney, blah, 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 blah. But he goes, but the bottom line is that, of course, there was media backlash. Okay, so now he's going to go and, he keeps moving the goalpost here and there, but without any evidence other than what he's repeating. It's like he's repeating this narrative over and over again. The media definitely had a say in how all these individuals felt at the time. So the media had a say in how all the individuals felt. So who are you talking about individuals? Like the fans are these toxic people, but so did toxic fans to a larger extent. Oh, so are you saying that the media definitely had a say in how all of these individuals, you mean like the actors and actresses? And so you're saying too the fans did in a larger extent are the toxic quote unquote fans? I grew up with the prequels. I thought it was just confirmed that you were an itty bitty toddler kind of person or preschooler during the time 4 years old. And so basically, again, like I said, your little pea brain it's not mature enough to know exactly what's going on. Not saying that kids are dumb. I'm just saying there's certain things that, they call grown-up talk. So this was grown-up talk that you did not understand and you did not realize. And the prequels got criticized by older fans for liking. Oh, so you're repeating narrative. That's what you're doing because, I am one of those older fans. I grew up, the OT. I'm an OT baby. I'm an OT baby. And I've had a lot more positive talk when the PT was coming out with a whole lot of people. Yes, there were some people who are like, oh, I don't like Jar Jar. The common, like dislikes. But was that hate? No, that's criticism. Criticism and hate can be two different things, really. You can still love the film, but not some things or a character within it. And I think that people like this person here, Jacob, can't distinguish between that. And it sucked, but obviously can't even compare to what the cast and crew experienced respectively. And there you go. So he's saying, oh, the cast and crew, man, they must have had a fucking terrible time because, when, Hayden went to Star Wars Celebration in 2005, I believe, or around that time, or even sooner than that. I think it was 2002, 3 or something like that. He literally had fans after him, like, wanting his signature, wanting to take pictures. He was well received. He was well loved. Same with Ewan. And even for the 2005 one, like for the promotion of Revenge of the Sith, he was in France, I believe, and he came on live in, so in at the celebration. He was on, screen live at celebration from his location. And again, no fan backlash. He was not hated. None of that. The prequel revisionism is still relatively new, I feel. Oh, so how do you know it's fucking new? You weren't even that old during the time when it came out. I feel like ignoring this and acting like the entire fandom accepted them with open arms, just like pretty ignorant and arrogant. So basically saying everybody here is ignorant and arrogant, because he knows it all. He's just repeating a narrative, but he has his experience as a 4-year-old preschooler, little pea brain, knows it all, felt it all, experienced it all, and that his was the one to follow, I guess you could say. And he says, "Get over yourself and grow up." But considering you have Mug Club on your bio, I don't expect you to read anything I've stated with any sense of sincerity, since you're willing to stand by and support a literal abuser there too. So, okay. So now he is like, okay, since you support Mug Club, and the reason why I support Mug Club is because of what YouTube is doing and against our First Amendment rights. But he then decides to say who I am based upon supporting a Mug Club. When I joined Mug Club, it was because of the fact that YouTube was censoring, and it continues to censor. So now you're going in here, oh, well, you support an abuser, so why should I talk to you, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, I got you there. What a fucking asshole. What a fucking dick. Well, I won't even say he probably has one, but I don't know. And let's go on. Let me see what you guys have to say. Girl, you got Mug Club in your bio? You must be horrible. 2 snaps in a circle. Hate it. And mind you, what's going on between, Steve and his wife and stuff like that needs to stay private, what have you. And, whatever. And then Tyrannozilla says, one of the worst moments was when Angry Joe believed that The Force Awakens was 8,000 times better than the prequels. God, it sounded like he had a stroke when saying that. Oh my God. Let me see here. Star Wars was a better place when financially we had making of books, comic books, adaptations, video games, novels, games, and toys actually sold. Let's see here. She's not an OT baby, but a prequel generation are masterclass. She's an OT baby, but the prequel generations are masterclass. I think you said that to me before. Star Wars was in a better place than financially. I already read that one. Let's see here. Prequel era best games, comics, novels. And do you notice that he decides to attack my bio and attack everything without even knowing anything about me? I mean, seriously. But then he, with everything that was going on with if he's actually married or not, and he, he's doing basically the same thing that he's accusing others of doing towards him. I would call that a hypocrite. Really, I would call that a hypocrite. I'm not going to get into anything about, the wifey or anything like that, but still. Jacob told me to grow up while holding a Grogu doll. He's a gap. And Angry Joe and many other reviewers from the before times are gone now. So far only Jeremy Johns and John Flicksters are still good. Let's see here. Let's go on and read the rest of this. Get over yourself and grow up. But oh wait, no, that's I already read that one. So this is in regards to this. And there's another one I didn't clip here. I didn't put on because you can only share 4 images at a time, but I do have it on my phone. Let me see here. So I'm going to pull that up. So give me a sec here. I'm not going to show it on screen, but I'm going to read it to you guys. I just want to get out of that. Okay, thank you. Well, my phone's not set up to show the proper one I wanted to share. And then he goes on to say, there's no reasoning with people like this. However, I've seen countless comments trying to downplay Jake Lloyd's experience with toxicity within the Star Wars fandom. The mom, so basically he's saying that the mom is downplaying Jake's experience because she basically didn't have him experience it because she kept him off of the internet. Do you see what's going on here? They ignore what is said because they want to keep this toxic narrative going on. And then he goes on to say, his experience with toxicity within the Star Wars fandom and simply act like it didn't happen at all to begin with. No one is saying it never, anything ever happened. We are addressing how it happened through the social media with sheeple basically following suit and spitting narratives out. And then confirming with what is being followed up behind it by the actors and actresses themselves or even their family members. That's the only thing that's going on. But these people are basically moving the goalposts because they want to keep this narrative going. It just proves how true the toxicity within the fandom is. Again, this proves it. And how true it remains today. And that just breaks my heart. So basically, he wants to keep this toxic narrative going on because without it, then he can't make remarks like this, really. He can't make remarks like this and other remarks. He is ignoring, again, what the actor and actresses have said in the past and even the family now. And that's the thing, because no one is saying that the media didn't commit backlash against George and other individuals for Star Wars in its whole history. It's the history of Star Wars since 1976. And it also goes on, with that, he's ignoring the fact that there are people who followed that narrative, but then he's also ignoring the conclusion to it, what the actors and actresses and George are saying. Again, I repeated myself, but I think it needs to, be clear. Once again, wishing Jake Lloyd all the best and hope that maybe one day he will return back to another project in this universe. Glad he's doing something better now. And so basically he's always been involved in Star Wars. Like I said, he's probably one of the only actors that's been to most of the Star Wars convention. Compared to the other PT actors and actresses and stuff like that. So he's been pretty much well involved since, and he loves Star Wars. Obviously, I don't think he's read that article because then he would have been proud to know that, Jake likes even the new Star Wars content through Disney. Let's see here. Let's go. Jacob couldn't hold a conversation about Star Wars because he doesn't know anything about it. And then says, you have to get Jacob on for talking Star Wars. Talking EU, just imagine that. I don't think he would come on. And I wouldn't say I'd lose my control with him or like lose my temper with him. But man, after reading this and stuff and him trying to gaslight what's going on and also ignoring what is being said by these actors and actresses and their family, it's like, how can I talk with someone so dishonest who is basically gaslighting and then calling and saying, like, judging my character based upon what I have on my profile? That's low in itself. That's fucking low. That is really, really low. All right, you guys. So I wanted to go through this with you guys just to do a follow-up with what's being said. We know that, and another conversation I had was about Kelly Marie Tran and how fans are blaming the toxic fans for her leaving the internet, or, like Instagram and stuff, which she basically has said, and I think I've done a video on this before, that it was basically Hollywood and Hollywood's media and how they thought that she should present herself, what type of body she should have, how she should look, and all this other stuff. And so, and she's got tired of, of that being forced upon her. And that's why she left social media. It wasn't because of toxic fans. And then again, we have Ahmad Best with saying that was media backlash, though that was his conclusion as well. George also, roughly saying that it was media backlash as well. So, what are the odds that OG will stream tomorrow? I'm betting it's on 80. It's an 80% chance. Yes, and I was gonna get to that. So thank you guys again for tuning in. I have to now get busy with my life. I'm supposed to have been at the grocery store, but I'm like, I better just go online here and address this bullshit. And so here we are. So this is a follow-up to my yesterday's stream. Thank you guys for joining in. And again, you can catch me tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for CAF Chat. I don't know exactly the topics we're going to be discussing, but be sure we're going to have some fun. We're going to have some cringe factor. And I can't wait to meet with you guys for coffee in the morning for some CAF. So wherever you're at, if you want your evening's spirits, maybe you can grab some Corellian whiskey or something like that and join me. So thank you guys again. I just wanted to address this. And you guys have a good day. And may the force be with you. Until tomorrow morning, cheers to you.
I had fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
Another happy landing.